Welcome to Brit European and our short insight into the latest innovation on our high and heavy fleet. Through our 94 years history, we've constantly innovated in our fleet design, improving efficiency, load configuration, safety, taking into account environmental aspects, and ultimately it's all about delivering a flexible quality service for our customers. The Mark I Hercules, which is the predecessor of the truck we're going to show you today, has been our mainstay for the last 8 years. But it's always had one drawback in the fact we've had 2 variants that we've had to operate. The Mark II, which Paul Birch, our fleet engineer, is going to show you the detail on, has the capability of doing all the key load configurations. So we only need one variant of this particular piece of kit. It's flexible, it gives us maximum efficiency, and it can take the broad range of customer product that we have available. The features themselves will be explained in more detail in a moment. We secondly have a Venus variant. That variant carries smaller vans and a mix of vans simply by swapping the trailers. So the front end is standard and the 2 trailers can be swapped around depending on the peaks and troughs that we have within the industry at different parts of the year. Safety for the drivers, safety for the load and legality of the load are all very critical to any design process of a new piece of equipment. We have to make sure we have safe loading, safe strapping and consider working at height. On the new piece of equipment we've even considered on-board weighing systems to give drivers the capability to know what their total gross weight is and what each axle is doing. Environmental credentials are important, so we've got a fully galvanised chassis and some of the vehicles in the fleet are fitted with alternative fuel technology. Others are prepped ready for alternative fuel technology. The total design process took over 12 months with regular visits to our equipment suppliers on the continent. The first prototype came across unpainted from the continent so we could do all the load trials and make any final modifications before it finally went back to Italy to be galvanised and finished off. I'll now hand over to Paul Birch, our fleet engineer, who will talk you through the detail of all the configuration on the truck.
Paul Birch, fleet engineer for Brit European. I just want to run through the modifications for the new Mark II Hercules truck and trailer and the Venus trailer coupled behind the prime mover. The main modifications to the prime mover are a peak deck and a folding up main deck, which allows us to increase load factor and type of load that we can put on the prime mover. We can get 3 vans or chassis cabs on it. We can also get 1 large tractor unit on it, and because the deck folds flush up against the back of the cab, allowing us to have high vehicle on the prime mover. Incorporated handrails and ladders for safe working at height on the prime mover peak deck. The peak deck is adjustable for various loading angles so that we can get loads up there without too much problem. The deck itself, the main deck, the angle of that can be adjusted to suit various heights and configurations of vans and chassis cabs to keep the height down. For drivers, when it comes to strap the loads on, the vast majority of the strapping can be done from low level. Only the 1 axle on the peak really requires working at height, but there are handrails and ladders to make it safe to do so. The controls have been repositioned to make them more ergonomic for the driver so that the driver can operate all the deck controls to allow him to be able to see the decks being moved and the positions of the load when he's positioning the deck so that they don't collide with one another. The controls again on the trailer have been repositioned and modified now, and we have an horizontal knob for sliding and a round knob for lifting and lowering so that the driver has less chance of making any mistakes. He can also see the load again better whilst he's moving the decks from the control area. There's a weighing system on the vehicle now that weighs the front axle separately and the bogie on the prime mover separately, and it weighs the trailer separately, so we've got no chance really of getting overloaded, and it increases the load ability so that we can maximise all loads without any concerns of being overloaded again. From a maintenance point of view, we've got a fully galvanised chassis on the trailer, galvanised body on the truck, prevents any corrosion and repainting issues. We've got LED lighting systems put on the vehicle now for reliability of the lighting system. We've got the latest EVS and electronically controlled suspension systems on it. The Venus trailer that goes behind the same prime mover, that gives a massive flexibility and load carrying capacity. We can get up to 7 cars or vans on that, or we can still get the tractor units on the prime mover, so that is a big load factor improvement over the previous one. There's a remote engine stop-start on the trailer so that the driver can isolate everything from the trailer having any issues, or to reduce idle running of the engine so that whilst he's loading he can stop and start without tracking backwards and forwards to the cab, and the cab can be locked for security reasons and you can still stop and start the vehicle from the trailer. I'll hand you over now to Alan Slattery, who's the quality and training manager, to run through some of the other finer points of the loading and load factors of the trailer.
Okay, I'm Alan Slattery and I'm a member of the Training and Quality Department for Brit European Transport, and we're here with the latest version of the Hercules heavy commercial carrier, the Hercules 4 UK, which has been developed by Brit European working in conjunction with our partners Rolfo in Italy. Whilst the old version was a very capable platform for the transportation of plant machinery and commercial vehicles, this is a great step forward compared to the old version. Primarily, we're looking at the inclusion of a peak deck, which goes over the top of the cab, which has massively improved our load factor. We've uprated the front axle considerably compared to the old variant, which has allowed us to push more weight forward, which allows for greater turn in between the prime mover and the trailer. With the inclusion of the peak, we've got vastly improved safety systems with the handrail and the Jacob's ladder, which makes it more ergonomic for the driver to work with and safer to do so, which allows us to transport a wider range of products and ensuring that we comply with manufacturers' restraint requirements. The trailer, whilst not dissimilar to the outgoing model, has been improved at a factory level, so all of the modifications that Brit European developed with the old commercial carrier are now fabricated at the factory, which gives a vastly reduced loading angle, making sure we get better clearance when we're loading the commercial vehicles and plant machinery. The control systems have been vastly improved to ensure that the driver can maintain full control of them at all times, whilst ensuring that he's checking for clearances on the decks and ensuring that there's no damage to the product. The control systems themselves have been improved with the inclusion of different shaped handles for the different control systems to act as a fail-safe to ensure that the driver doesn't pull the incorrect lever whilst loading. This new variant has got an enormous amount of driver appeal, being on a newer prime mover tractor unit. It's pleasant for the drivers to use. With the revised top deck, this enables us to carry 3 large tractor units of any size, and ensuring that we are under the 16 feet 4.88 metres maximum permitted in the UK. That works by flipping that top deck completely out of the way, whereas before on the old variant it would have been fixed. So that gives you the benefit of moving it from a light commercial carrier to a true heavy commercial carrier, whilst ensuring you remain compliant with construction and use and UK traffic regulations. So if we move on to the Rolfo Hercules prime mover with the Venus trailer, what we have is the absolute flexibility when it comes to a commercial carrier, because it's capable of carrying plant machinery, heavy commercial vehicles, light commercial vehicles and cars. So you're looking at a transporter that you can put into any location and achieve a decent load factor. So with the Rolfo Venus, you have a 3-axle prime mover and a tandem axle trailer, which, although it gives you a reduction in overall gross weight, you are still able to achieve 7 cars or car-derived vans, 4 large chassis, 3 large vans, including the largest vans currently available in the UK. And you can also carry 3 relatively sizable items of plant machinery. When considering the matter of load restraint, there are a number of important considerations we have to remember. There is the specific requirements laid down by the manufacturer and by the company itself, and we must ensure that we are compliant with with regulations regarding the restraint of loads on LGVs. With the new evolution of the Hercules, we are able to ensure that we are able to apply the correct amount of straps in the correct fashion whilst remaining entirely safe whilst doing so. So we've got the provision of the handrails whilst working at height, and for the rest of the transporter, the driver is able to apply the load restraint whilst working on the ground, not having to climb on the transporter itself. So that concludes our examination and walk around of the latest Hercules heavy commercial carrier. Look forward to seeing you soon.
I hope our short film has given you a good insight into the innovation process that underpins everything we do here at Brit European and why we continue to lead the high and heavy sector in the UK. My team and I would love the opportunity to come and discuss this and our other fleet and system innovations with you further in the future. Thank you for your time.